Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning. So the last time we got together, if you remember, I shared with you a technique for being honest with yourself so that you could heal parts of you that needed to be healed. And we talked about it, we kicked it around, and we played with it, and we had some fun with it. And the purpose of that lesson is so that you could embrace every part of yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and return once again to a state of peace, or as some would call it, Christ consciousness. Today's lesson or talk takes us even further down that path and returns you to a place when you actually let go of all of the illusions that you have about who and what you are, as well as who and what everybody else is, right? Because we've got opinions, don't we? We've got opinions on who we are, and we also have some opinions on who we think other people are, don't we? Let's be honest, right? But when we get to return to that state of Christ consciousness, what happens is all of that goes away. All of it. Because then what you understand is that we're deep down inside, we're all the same. We're all connected, right? And when you get to that point, you can do amazing things. And we actually then get to start to do the work. Because it's one thing to go from not knowing who and what you are and what you're capable of doing, but then all of a sudden when you start to get a taste of it, then all of a sudden you go, well, what can I do? Because ultimately what happens is you want to start serving, because that's the true calling. It's what all the masters did. They all served humanity. I would say at a pretty extreme level. But we all have that capability. It's all within us to serve. And that can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but ultimately when you're doing this work, you will get to the point to where that becomes a huge part of your life. So question, how many people would be up for that? Helping return this world to a place of peace, place of love, place where we live in harmony and joy versus what we're seeing now. How many people would be up for that? Yeah, it might be needed just a little bit, right? So today's talk is called Becoming a Blessing Machine. And I want you to think about the life of Jesus. When you really study what he did, he spent his life offering blessings to everyone around him. Everything that he did, everything that he touched was a blessing. He blessed the children. He blessed the sick and the poor. He blessed his friends. He blessed his family. He blessed everything. Everything that was around him was blessed, just being in his presence. The story of people just being around him and touching his garment. They were healed because of what he was able to do. One of the stories in the book of John is where Jesus and his disciples passed a man who'd been blind since birth. And his disciples said, "Teacher, whose sin caused this man to be blind? Was it his sin or his parents?" Because back in the day, the belief was that if your parents sinned, you could wind up paying for it. How convenient is that, right? And Jesus said his blindness isn't the result of a particular sin. It was given to him so that he could display God's power. Don't forget, I am the light to the world. And then Jesus spit on the ground and made some wet clay. And he placed it on the man's eyes. Boom, boom, put him over there. And then he said, go to the pool and wash it off. And the man went to the pool, washed his eyes, and suddenly he could see. He went home and his neighbors were shocked that he could see. They thought maybe he wasn't the same person, the same one who was blind his entire life. And he said, it's true, I am the person that was born blind. Well, how did you get your sight back, they asked. A man called Jesus on the ground and made clay out of his spit and the dirt, he made clay, and he put some on my eyes and told me to go wash it off, and as soon as I did, I could see. They said, where is this man? I don't know. So they took him to see the Pharisees, and he explained the whole thing to them. He ended the story by saying, so I went to the pool and washed it off, just like he told me to, and now I can see. Just imagining this guy that's been blind his whole life. All of a sudden someone says, hold on, let me make a little bit of mud, put it on your eyes, go wash it off, you're going to be able to see. What? Sure enough, that's what happened. So this started an argument among the religious leaders. Of course it did. Of course it did. Some didn't think this miracle was from God because it was done on the Sabbath. And we don't do anything on the Sabbath, right? Nothing is done on the Sabbath. Others pointed out that evil men can't do miracles. So it started this back and forth, this debate. So they asked the man, what do you say? What kind of a man healed your blindness? Without hesitation, he said, a prophet. Has to be a prophet. Has to. And they didn't want to hear that. Of course not. No, 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 no. Because they were so indoctrinated in their belief that it had to look a certain way, it had to sound a certain way, it had to feel a certain way, and if it didn't fit in that box, it couldn't be any way, shape, or form. It couldn't be that way. So they didn't want to hear it. Some questioned whether the man had ever been blind in the first place. So they called for his parents. Is this your blind son? If so, how is it that he can see? And the truth was the parents were afraid to answer because they knew the religious leaders could have them expelled from the synagogue, which was almost like being shunned. You did not want that to happen. That was like, oh no, please don't. So they said, he's our son, and yes, he was born blind. That's all we know. We have no idea why he can now see. He's an adult, go ask him. Which cracks me up, right? Hey, we don't know, go ask him. We weren't there, we just know he can see now, right? So they once again turned to the man. Don't praise this man, Jesus, who is evil. Give praise to God. So again, we're going back inside the box. If it doesn't fit in the box, then we can't acknowledge it. And so don't praise Jesus, who's evil. Give praise to God. And the man said, I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't know about theology. I don't know about religion. All I know is I used to be blind and I can see now. Right? Again, they didn't like his answer, so they once again asked how it happened. He said, I've already told you what happened. Why do you want to hear it again? Are you planning to become his disciples? Whoa. They were stunned at his boldness. No, we are disciples of Moses who talked with God. This man, we don't know what authority he has. The man was surprised. He said, you don't know where he gets his authority? Look at me. I was blind and he healed me. God doesn't give that kind of power to evil people. It doesn't happen. What do you think happened to the Pharisees? They got mad. Boo. You can't say that. How dare you try to teach us? How dare you? They immediately threw him out of the synagogue. Jesus heard about what happened, so he went and found the man. He said, do you believe in the Son of God? And the man said back, Lord, who is he that I may believe? Jesus smiled. You've seen him with your own eyes. He is the one that's talking to you right now. And the man fell down and said, Lord, I believe. And that's the story. So here's Jesus, just being Jesus, being a reflection of the divinity, doing what he does. And in that moment, he was called to heal this man's blindness. And so he did, right? Jesus became a blessing machine. As the Christ, he was the embodiment of the divine. And as such, he was simply doing what was as natural as breathing by offering a blessing to anybody he came in contact with. In a sense, if you think about it, what he was really doing was he was acting like a conduit to the divine. That's what he was doing. He allowed it to flow through him. And all he did was show up. And whatever was called for in the moment, he just went with it. The divine flowing through him. And what I'm suggesting, what I'm encouraging each and every one of you to do is to consider doing the same. Become a blessing machine. Or in the way of mastery, it says, cultivate the practice of blessing the world. Because you can do it. Now, I get it. You can look at Jesus and say, well, I could never do what he did. I mean, after all, he was Jesus. He kind of set the bar up there, right? And what I'm going to just suggest is that while your gift may not be healing people or walking on water or any of the other miracles that Jesus performed, I want you to understand that if you show up in the moment and trust the divine will show you what is yours to do in the moment. Not your ego, the divine. There's a total different energy. And when you show up in the moment, you just trust and you allow yourself to be able to be that expression of the divine, things will change. Because you will then become the blessing that you're meant to be, that you are. It's interesting when you think about blessings, right? Many of us are already doing it in our own little way. For example, when somebody sneezes, we say, God bless you, right? Many of us say a blessing when we eat our food. When people get married, we offer our own blessings to a newly married couple. When a baby is born, we offer a blessing to the baby. But the act of offering a blessing can go so much further than that, so much further than you ever imagined. There is nothing out there that you can't bless. Everything that you see, everything that is a part of your life, everything can be blessed. You can be that kind of an expression of the divine. You can. So when I started to contemplate this, then I thought to myself, why? Why is offering a blessing such a big deal? And why did Jesus spend his entire life doing it? And let me just say that any time you're offering a blessing, what's happening inside? First of all, understand you are directing energy. You are pausing for a moment and you are taking the energy, accepting the energy in, and you're moving it. So when I mentioned a few moments ago that you're acting like a conduit for a divine, that is exactly what's happening inside of you when you decide to offer a blessing. You're moving energy. That's what's happening. You're offering your good thoughts and energy to a person, a place, a situation. In a sense, you're acting like the divine. That's what's happening. It's a way for you to play a part in a healing, a helping, a transformation, or something into a more desirable situation, instead of just looking at it and not doing anything. How many people feel helpless at times when there's something that's going on that looks way bigger than you are? We all do. And what I'm going to tell you is that's a huge mistake because of who and what you are and what you're connected to. You can make a difference. You can. But in order to do that, you've got to be willing to take that in, to let the energy flow through you so then you can offer the blessing. But some of us think that we can't do that. Who am I, we ask? I'm just little old me. That's a mistake, folks. You are beyond powerful. You are beyond brilliant. You can change things in your own life in the lives of others, and I would even say individually and collectively. You can change. You can help and assist. You can. When we look at the metaphysical definition of a blessing, it's to invoke or call forth good. But it's not just any good, it's God's good. And I want you to hear this. What is God's good? Divine perfection. That's what you're doing. That's what you're having come through you. That's what you're asking for when you offer a blessing, is divine perfection, which is the highest expression there is for anything. It's absolute. It's perfect. And what we're really doing when we bless something is that we're asking for the best. In a sense, what we're saying is, may divine perfection be made manifest now. Beautiful. What more could we want for anybody, for any situation, for anything that's going on, other than to ask and send this prayer, send this blessing along, so that divine perfection be made manifest. Fillmore talked about this and teach us to pray. And Charles said, so let us remember that we use words as instruments of ideas, and that it is the idea that we are seeking to enlarge and establish by our words of praise and blessing. I'm going to say that again. We are seeking to enlarge or establish. He goes on to say, so praise and bless are words freely used by those who love spiritual values, because these words are heavily charged with the capacity to express the creative mind or the divine. Again, these words are heavily charged with the capacity to express the divine. That's what's happening when we offer a blessing. In themselves alone, the words praise and blessings are potent for good, because they are associated with ideas that align with the good or divine perfection. It keeps saying the same thing. It keeps going back to the same thing. And that's what the Fillmores knew, and that's what they were able to do, is because, like Jesus, that's what they did. They were constantly offering blessings and blessings and blessings, and as a result, hundreds and thousands of people were healed in their ministry. That's what they were able to do, right? Again, you're hoping for, you're sending your energy so the highest and best shows up. And that divine perfection can be expressed through you and others in many different ways. In the Bible, the word bless or blessing is used over 400 times. Kind of a big deal, right? In the book of Numbers, beautiful blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance or his support upon you and give you peace. In the third book of John, beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health, and it goes well with your soul. 2 Corinthians, may God make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. In Ephesians, Paul says, I pray that out the glorious riches that the divine may strengthen you with power in your inner being, so that your indwelling Christ may be in your hearts through faith. I tweaked that a little bit, kind of interpreted it. That's not exactly what Paul was saying, but I promise you that's what he meant. He goes on to say, in other words, may your own indwelling Christ come alive in you, and I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have the power to grasp how wide, long, high, and deep is the love of the divine. To know this love surpasses knowledge. In other words, it goes past the brain, it goes to love, so that you may be filled to the measure of all fullness of the divine. Hearing those scriptures, you understand that what they're doing is they're standing in the moment of pure divinity and offering a blessing. All of those are beautiful. But you know what? You can offer your own blessing at anything, using your own words, when you open yourself up to be a conduit for the divine. From the book of Mastery, it says, the function of the holy child of God, which is what you are, remains eternally one, to bless creation and thereby restore it to the perfect reflection of God's presence. Wow. That's what we're here to do? Yeah, that's what we're here to do. But we don't do it alone. We're not alone in this. All we're doing is we're tapping into our own divinity, and we're tapping into Source, and we're letting it flow through us to send these blessings out. That's what we're doing. It goes on to say, your function is to bless creation with the reality of the love of Christ. And where does that come from? It comes from within you. That's where it comes from. Creation then waits on your welcome. That requires that you choose to look upon all things. It's not saying anybody else chooses. It says you choose to do this or not. In the world and of the world. In other words, we should bless everything, everyone, every situation. In a moment, we'll go through a little exercise where we do a little blessing practice, if you will. And I want you to come up with some things that you're thinking about. People, places, or things. Whether they're going on in your own life and you need some help or support, or something just doesn't feel good, feels yucky. Or you're looking out in this great world that we're seeing, everything going on out there. God help you if you looked at a newspaper this morning. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. That's never fun, right? But as you think about it, just kind of kick around. What is it that you should bless? I would say it's limitless what you can bless. When you look at everything that is part of your life or is happening in your life right now, bless it. Bless your day, bless your body, bless your health, bless your finances, bless your family, bless your friends, bless your dogs, your critters if you've got them. How about your own spiritual awareness and awakening? Not a bad idea. How about the different powers that we know that we're given? How about this church? How about our community? How about this country? How about this world? How about the world leaders? How about the sick and the poor? How about all the unrest that's going on in the world right now? How about blessing Mother Earth and beyond? All of it can be blessed. All of it. I could add another 100 things here that you could bless, but I think you get the picture. I think you get the idea. Now, some of you may be asking, well, how do I actually do this? And the good news is there's no way to do this wrong. There's not. As long as your intention is pure and you show up and you offer a blessing, whatever that blessing may be, even if it's just God bless you, it's a beautiful blessing, right? But there's a lot of different ways you can do it. God bless you. I bless you. My blessing for you is divine perfection in all ways. My blessing for you is peace. My blessing for you is health. My blessing for you is prosperity. You can't screw this up. One of the places when I learned of just surrounding the person with white light. What a beautiful blessing. The light of God surrounding somebody or a situation with the love of God. Beautiful. We all have the ability to do this. You all have the spark of the divine within you. You all can make a tremendous difference in people's lives and what's going on now in other people's lives, in your own lives. Bless it, bless it, bless it. Become a blessing machine. That's what Jesus did. That's what the Fillmores did. That's what the Masters did. They got to the point to where that's all they wanted to do is to offer blessings. And they did it hundreds and thousands of times. And you can too, in your own way. Doesn't have to look like anybody else's way. It can be your way. But you have that ability to do that. And I would just encourage you to consider adding that to the things that you do on a regular basis. And if you do, watch your world change, because it'll be flipped upside down. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You are the light of God. You're the expression of the divine. And it is an honor to stand here, to be with you, to share this with you. It's so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the work that each and every one of you are doing. It's not easy sometimes, but you're doing amazing. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. You are making a difference. You do matter. You are needed. Don't ever forget that.